Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals, and here today I've got some TvT action, and that means one thing and one thing alone. Lots of Marines, lots of medevacs, siege tanks, and probably, or possibly, a couple of Hellions and Widow Mines. We'll wait to see what they're all going to do though, but currently, let me just introduce these two awesome players. So, in the top right position of Whirlwind, we have the Red Terran player. Some people may know him for his antics on his stream. It is MYM's Dragon. And his opponent, spawning the top left position, the Blue Terran player. From the clan tag Frey, it's HuT. So, Dragon v HuT should be an awesomely fun game because I like TvT, it's strategic, there's a lot of different ways you can approach it, lots of different strategies and just game styles, and that makes it really interesting as a caster and hopefully as a viewer to watch and enjoy, and therefore I cannot wait to see what these two are going to be getting up to. But for the moment, we've got a different opening already, and it's only a minor difference, but we see HuT going for the supply depot in a wall-off position, whereas Dragon just building it back. This gets him a slight economical lead, but only fractionally. It's not huge by any means, but it just means that ultimately he's going to have a slightly better economy. He wasted a little less mining time, a couple more SCVs, mining minerals for a few more seconds, just means that he's in a slightly better spot, slightly ahead, and of course early game leads can snowball, but it's nothing to make a big fuss about. What we do have though is the refinery. This is now a very different build. HuT's going to be going for a command center first. We know that just due to the amount of minerals that he's got banked up, the fact he hasn't started a barracks or anything like that, and it's not like he's going for some kind of proxy play, which would be pretty crazy on a map so big where you can spawn in any of the 4 positions. So, Command Center, it's coming down. We've got the first Reaper probably going to be popping out fairly soon for Dragon. I'd imagine that it is going to be a Reaper opening because it's quite a nice way to go actually. We should get one Marine pumped out, then a Reaper straight after because of course they cost 50 gas to get that on its way. So this build is very, very different to what we're seeing out of HuT, with the command center followed up by a barracks. No gas yet, everything just going very, very nicely along. Nothing too rushed, nothing too crazy out of either of them. This I do like, and I'm gonna, because there's not much else going on, really highlight why this is such a good thing to do. Putting the supply depot right at the edge, and it's just because there's so much dead space around your main base that medevac drops can come in very easily. There's also this massive amount of area, pretty much everywhere I've got on screen now, where you can drop down potentially, and not get detected until all of the Marines, Marauders or whatever are unloaded and just run over and do huge amounts of damage. Putting this supply depot here gives you vision, and vision means that you've just got better map awareness and you're able to react to things a lot more comfortably. So, the first Reaper is about to pop out now. We do have a Marine just sitting there at the top of the ramp. The SCV will spot this Reaper now. That's straight away a nice little scout out by HuT. He also sees the command centers coming down, so knows precisely what his opponent's doing, knows that his own command center of the natural is ahead of that of his opponent's just due to the Reaper being out, knowing that there's a gas there. Still no gas yet from HuT, just getting out a second barracks, pumping more Marines, may start a bunker, but probably just going to play it a bit more cautious. Dragon still doesn't know where his opponent is, sending the SCV to one base, and of course the Reaper to the other, just to make sure that he gets as much information as he possibly can. So, now found, this just means that a couple of SCVs are going to take a few shots, but with 3 Marines now on the field, blocking the only exit, or potentially going to be blocking the only exit, this Reaper will have to go into full retreat mode. 3 Marines versus 1 Reaper will definitely go in the Marines' favour. Behind this Dragon, he just got a quick tech lab, started combat shield before stim. That generally indicates that it's much more likely to be some kind of nice timing, some kind of combat shield push potentially, otherwise you tend to see stim getting started a lot earlier, just because it's a long upgrade and very, very powerful. So, let's see what else we've got coming on. An exceptionally quick, actually, 3rd CC out of HuT. He's going so economically focused. That makes him potentially vulnerable to some kind of timing push out of Dragon, who's getting up 2 additional barracks, is comfortably getting out his orbital command, got 2 SCVs mining here, and just the Marines sitting around quite patiently. HuT, though, he's got a good number of units out. He's been producing out of 2 barracks for a long time, a 3rd barracks on the way as well, but Dragon, he shouldn't have any problems dealing with this because combat shield will be complete by the time that infantry comes over. He's already got 4 Marines and he's up against what is only 7, so that means 7 Marines up against 4 Marines and a Reaper. Well, it's not going to be terrible times. Of course, we've got more Marines always pumping out. There we finish with the combat shields. That's going to help massively as well. Just that extra health just means that any engagement should go quite nicely into Dragon's favor, as long as he does actually micro, which he didn't didn't do at all there. So that actually wasn't too good for him, just allowing units to get focused down, and now Dragon could potentially be losing a couple of workers. It's not going to be game ending, there's only, well, let's face it, 4 Marines there, but all of this little bit of micro here, picking off the mules would be quite a substantial loss actually for Dragon, because he did have a much worse economical opening. So there we see both of the mules did get taken down. That just means income-wise, as you can see here, HuT now taking quite a substantial lead. He's got 31 to 25 SCVs, all looking very, very nice for him. Stim is getting researched by both players ahead for Dragon, though, who's also getting out his +1 infantry weapons. That +1 infantry weapons, really helpful, because ultimately it just means that you can go for, well, anytime you get upgrades, especially if you're going infantry heavy, they become very, very potent when you get a lot of infantry out on the field. So that's something that HuT's going to want to counteract by getting out his own upgrades fairly shortly, but currently just pumping up more and more units, getting down those additional barracks. Neither player teching at all quite yet. We do see Dragon is starting his 3rd command center now, and just still pumping on more and more barracks. So neither of these players apparently like medevacs or tanks. They just like, you know what, this game we should make Marines, because Marines, they are good units, and especially this new skin on Marines. Like, what do we think of this? Let me know in the comment section below. Do you like the new Marine skin? Do you think it's too much, too little? Not enough lasers and sharks? You tell me, but I think it's pretty funky. Compared to, this is the comparison, okay? So, old Marine skin, just take a little look around here. I'll hide the health bars for a second. So, old Marines, new Marines, all lined up. What do we reckon? Do we prefer new or old? New or old? You tell me down below. So we've got +1 just finished up, but there goes the money scan actually for HuT. Sees the engineering base researching those +1s on its way. We've also got +1 infantry armor coming down as well. So really, with combat shield and also stim complete, Dragon could look to start trying to push across, but just sending a single Marine at the moment. HuT, of course, does have a good amount of units here, a huge number of Marines. Dragon starting that transition now into the later game tech, so starting a factory, but the starport is already complete now for HuT, so that means that he's going to be ahead in terms of the medevac count. That's good news for him. He's also getting the double engineering bay, so starting the double upgrades means that he will be behind for a while with those upgrades, but as long as he keeps double upgrades going, he will get ahead. This 3rd orbital command has been spotted now. That's good news. HuT also trying to push forward a little bit with these Marines. I'm not quite sure what he was doing with those, but just moving forward, this Reaper happily chipping away at it, because you know what, why not? Just keep a good eye out, see when these Marines get pulled back, and potentially give Dragon a good little scout out of army size. Sees these Marines here, gives him a good read, potentially got a click off there to see what upgrades they had to decide whether he wanted to go for it. So we're about halfway done with +1 infantry armor. We do have the watchtower being held currently by just 2 Marines for HuT, but he pulls them back. Very good reactions there. You don't really want to lose anything for free, but the medevacs are going to make a big difference to HuT's army, because currently Dragon, he's still only producing his starport. He hasn't even got a medevac on the field yet. Medevacs really improve how potent infantry can be, but the upgrade advantage is there. Still though, about 40 seconds away from completion for the +1 infantry armor, and now we see a forced engagement here, because HuT actually got some nice shots off there. Dragon having lost quite a bit more than that of his opponent, and now with a much better concave and the medevacs there, we can see the spike going massively in HuT's favour. Dragon losing nearly all of his Marines, pulling back the reinforcements, and that couldn't have gone really much worse for him. We can see that he lost a good 700 more resources than that of his opponent. He's still economically ahead, 65 SCVs to just 48, and now loading up the double drop as well. There's no detection until these missile turrets, so this is a good way in order to prevent the drops, is by building 3 missile turrets. And of course these medevacs do have to be careful. If they just run in, if they are rallied and HuT isn't paying attention, it will do a lot of damage. Of course those missile turrets will start focusing down. They both go for different medevacs though, so I guess that's one little plus side, and both medevacs do manage to get alive, but they're not going to be able to get out there. This means that this drop is a complete commitment. Going to try and do a good bit of damage. Does focus down the engineering bay, but the +1 infantry armor was already complete. Now the Marines are in here. Everything gets cleaned up nicely. Both medevacs go down. And in terms of losses, well, 8 workers killed in total. I'm not sure if it was from this game, from that push, or if any other point, but I think it must have been from that, because I don't recall any other damage being done. So it was probably not worth it in terms of the loss tab, and we can see actually from the resources lost that it wasn't, and HuT actually leveled that out there. But Dragon, he's taken his 3rd base, and this just leaves him not in a bad spot. He's got 3 bases up against 3 bases. He is though behind by still 18 workers, which is not ideal. 2 more medevacs coming in, and this is quite a surprising choice. They are going to just really be rallied around the back to make sure that they minimize the damage taken from these missile turrets. Sensor towers down for both players. This is always a good way to know where your opponent is, especially in TvT. They're very effective in scouting out drops and things like that, so I'm surprised that Dragon didn't actually choose to pull one up here just to get an advance warning because his infantry is a long way out of position. The medevac flew straight through this, do not take as much damage or anywhere near as much as they did last time, and this drop is going to do potentially an awful lot. We see that the engineering bay will fall this time. That puts an end to the upgrades. It means the 2-2 upgrades will be quite far ahead actually for HuT compared to Dragon. That upgrade advantage is going to be really, really potent. We see that medevac's getting focused down here. The infantry will be forced back though. Needs to be careful because the medevacs are taking a lot of damage. Tries to load up but does get taken out. Not too sure about that decision. HuT had nowhere to go with that medevac unfortunately. So good little snipe off there by Dragon, but he lost a good couple more workers, and of course that +2 infantry weapons being researched. So that's knocked him behind. He's roughly now, well, roughly about 40 to 60 seconds behind his opponent in terms of the 2-2 upgrades, and is also stuck on single upgrades. So that just means that HuT, he's going to get very far ahead. He's going to have good engagements. He's got more tanks out, I believe, as well. 5 tanks to just 1 of Dragon, but Dragon does have 2 Widow Mines on the field now, so could use those to really try and take some space, but this is where things start getting really tense. HuT is ahead in terms of supply. The tanks with a nice siege up, a good little scan, getting a lot of the infantry, and of course just a couple of shells off really weakens that infantry, allowing HuT to be very aggressive. We can see that still ahead in the worker count by 17. That's a big advantage for the blue Terran player, and Dragon really needs to keep producing his SCVs because otherwise he will fall behind and not get, he's already mining off 2 less gas than his opponent. That's really what's hurting the tank count, but we see some good scans coming up here. Dragon feels like he can make it, but he's got to be so careful. There's a lot of Marines here. The actual total Marine count is 44 to 66 in HuT's favour, and he's got more tanks, so just standing army supply, he's ahead quite comfortably, and that means that any engagement has to be so perfect for Dragon, and it's always going to be a bit of a scary thing. But the Widow Mines do detonate, take out a tank there. That's good use of a Widow Mine, very cost effective use. Dragon up on the high ground, slightly trapped between his own base and this approaching army of HuT, and we see the siege up will go down, a scan goes down as well. The infantry will keep completing, but the tank count is just so superior for HuT right now, and Dragon's tanks are taking out. This is looking to be an incredibly tough position for the red Terran player, but HuT, he's just biding his time. Lots of scans going up saying, can I attack that tank line? But the answer, no. Reinforcements coming in big groups at a time. And this is where it gets into panic mode because you've got to be oh so careful. A Widow Mine did detonate there, both of them did go down on a couple of Marines, so in terms of the resources lost, Dragon, he's still losing more and he's mining less. The 2-2 infantry upgrades are done for HuT, but 2-1 for Dragon. That's yet another way that HuT is getting ahead in this game so far, and he's also got the +1 Terran weapons, but now with his third base getting scouted and taken out, Dragon realizes he's not going to be coming back into that, and GG's out of the game. So big congratulations there to HuT taking out Dragon, a very well-known player. So go check him out, everyone, and of course if you enjoyed this cast, like the video, leave a cool comment and subscribe. I get new games up daily, so I'll see you all tomorrow for yet another new cast. I'm Madals, thanks for watching, and bye for now.